Welcome to It's a Piece of Cake. I'm Lima, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make homemade butter. I love making homemade butter. It is so easy to make and it tastes so amazing. And while I was making it today, I thought, you know what, I'm going to share it, make the video and share it to show you guys how to make it at home. And as you can see, it's got a beautiful texture. It actually tastes incredible and so simple to make. So if you are going to use the silicone mold, I'm going to be using this rose one today. You can get your silicone molds online or from your cake decorating shop, and you're going to need some heavy thickened cream. So you want it to be at least 35% milk fat. And then you're going to pour your thickened cream in your cake mixer bowl. I am going to be using 3 600 mils because I need quite a bit of butter to put inside my mold. But if you are making it at home, I definitely recommend just try with about 200 or 300 mils first before you make obviously a big quantity like I am. Now I'm not going to edit much of the thickened cream getting whipped up because I think it's important to watch the whole transition of what happens to the thickened cream as you're whipping it. So you're not doing anything at this moment. You're just going to leave your cake mixer. You could have it at medium, you could have it at high. It really doesn't make a difference. Now keep in mind I've got about 1.8 liters of thickened cream that I'm whipping up. And I need that much because once it's all, once it turns into butter, it's only going to be about 700 grams. So it's going to take a while. This took about 20 minutes. And obviously, if you're going to be doing it at home, you're not going to make this much of a quantity. It will take you probably about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how much you're making. But with thickened cream, as you're whipping it, it basically turns into whipped cream. That's the first stage. And if you add sugar to your whipped cream, then you've got a nice sweet whipping cream that you can add in sponge cakes. Then the longer you beat it up, the thicker it becomes. And as you can see now, it's got a lot of volume, texture, and it's quite thick now. And if I blend that for another and let that whisk for another minute, that basically would turn into that kind of, you know, when you go to McDonald's and you get that little packet of butter that you get with the pancakes, that is pretty much right now at this consistency that gives you that McDonald's whipped cream butter. So if I'm doing like a pancake morning and I'm making a lot of pancakes, this is what I whip up and serve it as a butter, and it gives you that almost exact taste as that McDonald's whipped butter. So that now is pretty much whipped butter. And you can tell at this point because it actually starts to smell like butter. So when you're making it, you can really smell that it now smells like butter. It's thickened up, and then it's going to almost look like it's curdling. And that is pretty much when you should be putting your cake mixer lower because you don't want to get splatter everywhere. But also just be close to your cake mixer at this point because you will hear like all this liquid that's splattering away, and that is buttermilk. So when the thickened cream has blended long enough and it has separated, that is pretty much when you've got butter. And then we're going to remove all that buttercream from the butter, and sorry, the buttermilk from the butter. So here the recording's not going to be that great because it's very hard to get the angling right, but all I'm doing is getting a separate bowl and I'm going to kind of strain or drain all that excess buttermilk out of my butter. And you have to remove all of it. If you leave the buttermilk in there, it's got this funny, not so nice smell and texture. So just drain out and get as much of the buttermilk as you can out of your butter. And if you get any lumps of butter in there, you can just kind of strain them out and put them back in your bowl. And then I'm going to keep letting this whisk again and again so it kind of separates all the buttermilk. I don't like any buttermilk in my butter. Like I said, it's just a personal taste. I don't like the smell of it and I don't like the taste of it. So I'm going to keep doing that till I know that my butter's kind of gone into one solid lump of butter with no buttermilk. And as you can see, this is so simple to make at home. It's so satisfying, so rewarding because it tastes so good. There is something very beautiful about homemade butter. So at this point, we've pretty much made the butter. So as you can see, it's kind of all clumped together. It's like one big solid, big form of butter. You saw the transition, and now it's got this beautiful color, texture. It smells incredible. And I know that once you do it, you will just love making homemade butter. And as you can see, I really haven't done anything. It's just a process that you have to follow. And I know it's a bit of a long recording, but I thought it was important just so you can see the entire transition of it happening. Now I've got my butter, and as you can see, it's a really beautiful, nice texture. It's got a beautiful color to it. And now I'm going to just weigh it to show you guys that basically that 1.8 liters that I used of the thickened cream, it works out to be roughly around just over 700 grams. And that is how much I need to make the rose mold. And then you've got your buttermilk that you can use for pancakes. So now that I have my butter, I'm going to put it in a cheesecloth. And I'm just going to kind of spread that out and then wrap the cheesecloth. And I want to press and drain any bits of buttermilk that I have still in my cheese, because like I said, you don't want no buttermilk. So give it a nice squeeze and try and get any excess buttermilk out of the cheesecloth from your butter out into the cheesecloth. Then I've got a large bowl. In this bowl I've put ice and cold water. Now you don't want to use warm water because it will melt your butter. So with a really nice cold water, you're going to kind of just press and wash away any excess buttermilk that the butter will have. And as I'm doing this, I take my time doing this. I do it for about a good 5 minutes just to make sure that all the buttermilk is just washed away. And as you will watch through this video, that the color of the water is changing, and that is still that excess buttermilk that's still in the butter. And I'm just going to keep pressing that till I'm pretty confident that I've got as much of the buttermilk as I can out of my butter. So just nice and gently, just take your time, just wash it away. And then when I have done enough and I've opened it up, we have got pretty much the butter. So just a few simple small steps that you're following. And once you do make this homemade butter, I know that you're going to enjoy it, and it's going to be so worth the effort of making it at home. My mum absolutely loves the homemade butter, so I make it quite often for her. And we've opened up now the cheesecloth, and then you've got this nice beautiful slab of homemade butter. And then from this point here, it's optional whether you just want to. You can have it right now fresh on a piece of bread. It tastes amazing. But you can also just let it sit in the fridge for a couple of hours, and then it kind of firms up and gets a bit harder as well. And it just, yeah, it tastes amazing either way. Now it's up to you here whether you want to just put it in a plastic container and put it in a fridge, or whether you want to get, kind of make them special and put them in silicone molds. And silicone molds are available in cake decorating shops. You can get them online. You can purchase them from a lot of places, and like I said, this part is optional, but I'm just going to show you a few silicone molds that I filled with the butter. And you're going to press the butter really firm into the silicone mold, smooth out the tops, and then you're going to, like this large one, I put in the fridge for around 3 hours, but depending on the size of the silicone mold that you're using, it could go between half an hour to 3-4 hours, depending how big it is. But this solid one took about 3 hours to chill, and when it chills, it's easy to remove from the silicone mold. Now, there's a few things I want you to keep in mind. Is that depending on the type of thickened cream that you are using, you're going to get a different flavored butter. So you need it to be the minimum 35% milk fat, but you can, like for example, I do use a double whipping cream, double heavy cream, and one particular one was about 40 or 50% milk fat. The ones that have the really high content of milk fat, there's not much butter milk in them. So when you're whipping them up, you'll notice that you're not going to get much buttermilk at all, and they have a really beautiful taste to them, really, really nice. So practice with your 35% milk fats, but then just look at the back of them, and the higher the milk fat content, the less buttermilk that's going to come out of them. So play around with the thickened cream that you like, because they taste different, and you can mix them up. So if there's one brand that you like that you want to mix with the other brand and make your own, you can do that. And you're going to notice when I unmold these, some are going to have different shades of color, some have different texture to them, some I even make up my own. So I'll put a certain amount of ratio of different type of thickened creams. And then if you learn the basic of this and you can get the one that you like, right, of course you can make salted butter, you can make garlic butter, so many different options of butter that you can make. So I've made about 4 or 5 different types of butters in these molds, and everyone's got their personal taste. So I'm making them for individual people, and then I've left them to sit and chill in the fridge. And then to get them out of the silicone mold, all you're going to do is press the sides away just to let a bit of air go in, and then you're going to just gently turn them around and just kind of press away the silicone mold. Silicone molds are very, very flexible, so they move very, very easily, and then you're going to get that shape onto your butter. So that's the first one, which is our rose mold, and as you can see, it's a beautiful rose mold, and then you can just smooth it out using your fingers. So if you have lots of like little cracks and holes and ridges, just use your fingers to smooth it out, and then you can get more of a neater finish, which I'll show you a little bit later. But this is the other mold that I used, and with this butter, this was a very high content of fat, so it was more of a lighter color, but it had a really beautiful flavor to it as well. And then all I'm going to do is unmold the butters from the silicone molds. And like I said, if you want to have more of a beautiful kind of cleaner, neater finish, you can just take your time using your fingers just to smooth them out. And then if you need to, you can even use a spatula to help you smooth it out. But if you want to do this part, I recommend leaving your butter for about 10-15 minutes to sit on the table, so it's not really firm and cold straight from the fridge. You just want to kind of sit a little bit, and that just makes it easier to smooth out any of the, because the butter softens up, it makes it easier to smooth out any of the creases that you've got from your mold. So as you can see, this has been sitting for about 10 minutes, and as I'm using my spatula, it's just very easy to smooth out the butter. Obviously, if you're just not making them in the silicone molds, you're not going to worry about any of these steps. You're obviously just going to put it in a container and store it in the fridge, and you're fine to go. But if you're kind of wanting to make it special and unique, you're going to go through all these steps here. And then I'm just going to smooth it out with the spatula just to get a nicer, neater finish. And that's pretty much how to make your giant rose, or how to use a silicone mold with your butter. And even though the butter, once it has set in the fridge, when I did weigh my butter, it's still the same, over 700 grams. So at the start, once I had whipped it up, it was 715 grams. It has been set in the fridge, and it's still the same amount of weight. So even though when it firms up, it will still weigh the same. Now, from here on to the end of the video, whether you want to watch it or not, I'm just unmolding the other butters that I made, because I just wanted to record for you guys just to see the colors and the textures of mixing up different thickened creams. And because most of these I was giving out, I just thought I may as well just share it so you guys can see it. For example, I've got this really cute pug mold, which is a really cute little dog mold that I've used in other tutorials, and I made this for my sister. And see how this one's got like a really nice bright yellow butter. I have mixed about 3 different thickened creams to make this kind of unique flavor that I thought, which I personally like the most. And again, this is once you've got experience, and you can just start kind of mixing your own favorite thickened creams up and making your own version of your butter. And I have this little flower mold, which I thought that the butters would look really cute in them, because they come in little small cute size molds, and you can make plenty at one go. So my daughter wanted to make these ones, which I thought were really nice, and they're very easy to use. So silicone molds do make everything look more professional, but obviously they're very simple to use. They're very flexible, and this you can put like in a little gift box, and they look really cute. We did do this and put it in a gift box. This is my daughter's favorite. She doesn't like the butter to be too rich, and believe it or not, the lighter shade butters, like I said, it's more, you get them with the very heavy whipped creams. So this was with the one that was about, I'm pretty sure, about 40% milk fat, and it's got a very it's got a lovely taste. And I know that once you do make these homemade butters, you will know what I'm talking about and how incredibly amazing and fresh that they do taste, and the beautiful smell you get once you whip that cream. If you do decide to give them as gifts, I'd recommend you get a cake board, and in the cake board just use some more butter, or you can just kind of heat up the bottom of your butter just to kind of stick it onto the cake board and let it rest there, chill in the fridge, and that way it will stick onto your cake board, and then you can put it in a nice little cake box. And as you can see, when I cut through the butter, you can see the texture of it inside. And if you go back to the very beginning of the video, the butter that I cut at the beginning of the video would have a different texture to this one. And that will come down to personal taste, that you decide which kind of texture and flavor you like. Because they'll all be different, or thickened creams would be different, and the ratios that you put if you decide to mix them will be different. So I hope you guys did enjoy this super long tutorial, but I thought it's just good to make one solid long video, just explain everything at once. And if you did enjoy this video, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. And if you do make the butter, I would love to know in the description, I would love to know if you can give me a comment and let me know how you went with your butter. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and bye for now.